Hello and welcome to Wingin It, and welcome to the start of a brand new series here in which we're going to be taking a look at building different types of engines in Wingspan Oceania expansion. So yeah, this is a little bit of a throwback to one of the first series I did on this channel almost 2 years ago now, way back when we had only the base game to play with. And of course a lot has changed since then. Not only has the Oceania come out since then, but also the European expansion. So we've got a lot of new birds, we've got a new food type, and we've got a new board. So a lot has changed, and I think the makeup of a strong forest engine has changed a little bit as well. The kind of birds that you're looking for are the same, but of course we've got more to choose from. So yeah, I think it's worth a look here. Bit of a deep dive into what you can expect when you're going for a forest engine. So starting off here, we have got a game here against the AI. We're jumping in to the starting hand, and we are starting with one of my favourite birds from this Oceania expansion, the Willy Wagtail. So of course, you long-time Wingspan fans, I'm sure, will be well accustomed to the wood duck from the base game, well known as being unique in being the only bird that can go in the forest and generate cards, but not anymore. It has some competition here with this Willy Wagtail. So yeah, flexible habitat, it can go anywhere you want, and it can draw cards from the tray, but only if they are a certain nest type. So with this Willy Wagtail, you are looking for cup nests or you are looking for star nests. So a little bit of a limitation versus the wood duck. And of course, you're only drawing one card. So there's some drawbacks for sure, but it is that little bit cheaper. And yeah, it's another option. And I think just having another option, you know, no longer are you just required to find the wood duck if you want to go for a strong forest engine with card draw. You can now have the Willy Wagtail, and that works just as well. Now, as I said, we're playing against the AI, and the AI is being very, very helpful to me. So they're also using one of these new Oceania birds, the Princess Stephanie's Astrapia, that lets both players in a 1v1 game lay one egg. So yeah, in multiplayer games, you get to choose which player. In 1v1, my opponent here is stuck giving the eggs to me, and I will take them all day long. We've also added a cowbird, so again, classic base game bird, very helpful for getting some eggs, lots of cup nest space indeed on that Willy Wagtail. And we pretty quickly find another very nice base game bird here, American Robin, tuck and draw bird in the forest here with this Willy Wagtail. I think this is such a potent combo, these two. So now no longer are you limited to just finding those birds with the cup nest or with the star nest, because with the Robin, you can pick up any bird you want. So I think as long as you're getting a good supply of birds with the Wagtail, doesn't matter what they are, they're just going to feed a bird like this Robin to let you tuck and draw and cycle a bit. And of course, snowbirting as well. So this is one of those European expansion birds, pink power. Anytime another player tucks a card, you get to tuck one from your hand and draw a replacement. So again, tray birds are available. You might have seen earlier my opponent did play, there we go, Violet Green Swallow going down in their grass. And so now potentially I'm going to be getting some tucks and potentially some free cards as well through the bird they played in their wetlands. So yeah, even though this is against the AI, I think we do still have a little bit of paying attention to be done, because what they're doing is very much going to affect us, especially with these free eggs coming through. So we do win this first end of round goal. It was close, but we did manage to get enough birds down with that food cost. And I think, you know, that's the strength of this forest engine, getting those extra food. And of course, in this Oceania expansion, you're getting nectar now as well. So that is going to be something in play here. You can see on this turn already going and grabbing a couple of nectar. Not only does that help in playing these birds just with a bit more flexibility on, you know, not necessarily needing to find specific food. So I think, you know, sometimes if I'm going to try and play something like this hawk that I've got in my hand, trying to find the rodents for that can sometimes be an issue. But yeah, not here. Getting the nectar, definitely handy. And of course, with nectar, you know, you want to be spending it as much as possible because you get extra points at the end of the game for each habitat if you have spent the most or second most nectar. So yeah, another thing to bear in mind when you're running a forest engine, you are going to get access to so much more nectar than you otherwise would. And so you're going to be able to really make a push on those nectar races. So a free bird coming through from the AI, and what a bird it is as well. Australian Raven. This is an absolute huge point bomb when you are running Forest Engine. 7 points in its own right for 3 food, and at the end of the game, you cash up to 5 food from your supply on that Raven. So, you can make that 12-point bird. I don't think food's going to be a problem here. We're going to be running this forest plenty throughout the rest of this game. It is going to be a big point scorer for us. And you can see as well, didn't even touch on the bonus card at the start of the game, but we did go for Behaviorist. I think this is a bonus card that even before Oceania worked pretty well with the Forest Engine. Anytime you're going mono habitat, you're going to be stacking brown powers in one row, and so the other rows are free for pink powers, which is normally what you want. These white and no power birds, maybe they get you bonus cards. And then in the European expansion, those teal powers as well, that can be pretty strong. But now, with Oceania, we've got a whole another power color to work with. So that just gives even more flexibility here with going for the Behaviorist. Now, you'll see on that turn with the Woolly Wagtail, there were no cards in the tray with a cup or star nest. However, you can at any time when using that power choose to refresh the tray first. And so that's what we did. We got lucky. Couple of choices coming up. So yeah, something to bear in mind that even if the tray doesn't have what you want, you can always refresh, and I think you've got a pretty good chance there of getting the kind of nest type you want. But we've just been doing a bit of digging, gathering a bit of food. We've got our forest set up now, I think pretty much, the wagtail, the robin, the hawk, and the woodpecker. We're looking at potentially 3 points there, as well as the 3 food, and the card cycle, and the card generation. So super, super strong. As I say, just run that for a little bit, and we can start playing some birds. So Raven straight away down into that wetlands. That's 1 column done for Behaviorist. Very, very nice. You can see I've been very selectively picking up birds like the black swan and the long spur as well. And we're also going to take a little look at this house sparrow for another teal power. So yeah, the focus very much here is on trying to get as many columns as we can that have different power colors in them. And I think for sure we're going to get 2 and potentially 3, potentially 4. We're going to look at what we can do here with this Behaviorist, and for sure when you've got birds like the long spur in hand as well, going for the additional bonus cards. At this stage of the game, running a Forest Engine can actually be quite handy because you are going to be knowing what kind of birds you're looking for. Now, we do take a bit of a detour here, a bit of a pit stop, laying eggs. Definitely strange, however, this is just a case of paying attention to the end of rounds. There was potential for a full swing there, going from losing to winning. So yeah, we gain 6 points on our opponent there, as well as the 3 for laying eggs. A 9-point turn for the cost of 1 nectar. I think that makes sense. So we follow up with the long spur and ecologist. What a pickup that is. Great synergy again with the Behaviorist. Also just with the Forest Engine in general. You want to play lots of birds. You want to fill lots of columns. So yeah, we could be looking at a huge score on those 2 bonus cards alone. But now we've got those down, we can start focusing on going for some food again. And yeah, we're just going to keep running this again. As I say, cash on the woodpecker, tuck on the hawk, another tuck through the robin. We just keep cycling. This time we get unlucky on the Woolly Wagtail, but you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. It's not going to hit every time. I think just through the help from my opponent here as well, with their wetlands, and of course with the additional card cycle of this bunting. I think we've always got a spare card. We've always got something that we're willing to tuck. And I think that's the main thing. As long as you're not forced into a position where you only have good cards in your hand and you don't want to tuck anything, then you should be doing okay. So we're just going to keep going. This time we do get something from the Woolly Wagtail, Little Penguin. Quite a nice point bomb. Definitely one I'll be looking at, especially with that last end of round, rodents and fish in the food cost of your birds. That's going to help a lot towards that one. So we'll try and keep that one in reserve for sure. And this is the point of the game where I'm sort of trying to think, okay, can I make this house sparrow work? So these teal powers, ordinarily amazing, I think. Definitely a staple of my Forest Engines through the European expansion. But they do change a little bit here in Oceania, because you're not necessarily looking to just go for seeds. You're potentially focusing more on the nectar. And of course, when I've got something like this woodpecker, I'm trying to save the seeds to cash on that, rather than use them on something like this house sparrow. So yeah, it's something I'm considering. Teal powers, you always want to get them down early, so I definitely would be looking at playing it this round if possible, to try and get some extra cashes. Of course, we've got the Raven as well, which is potentially going to be cashing some food at the end of the game as well. So yeah, lots going on here. We did have a good turn there though, so we did manage to pick up a couple of seeds. Still got 1 on the woodpecker. I think the hawk might have missed, but of course Robin is always going to be working there with these extra cards, which is very, very nice. And speaking of very, very nice, Mockingbird comes up. If that came up maybe one round earlier, I'd be playing that. I think at this point it's a little bit late. We're focusing more on just getting some of these birds down, and that starts here with this house sparrow. So yeah, I think the fact that I was able to get so many seeds on that prior turn, we could get 4 there on this end of round tucking, which I think is very, very nice and helps score points. And we are also going to win this end of round, so we're looking very good. We could potentially pull off a clean sweep here. But we come here into the final round. We're going to keep getting some snow bunting tucks, which is very, very nice. 3 cowbird eggs, also very, very nice. Always what you want to see. Plenty of cup nest space, as I say. Should not be too much of a problem there. And yeah, from here, it's just about planning. It's just about working out what to do with these last 5 turns. Ideally, I want to be playing 3 birds here. I've got 3 pretty good ones to go down in that wetlands, not just for the ecologist, but for behaviourist as well. I'm sort of thinking I can put a teal power in that second column. I can put a yellow power in that third column. And then hopefully if I can find another white and no power bird to go in that 4th column, I'm sort of dreaming of Atlantic Puffin popping up to replace my little penguin. But I think, as I say, for sure, 9 points guaranteed on the behaviourist, 8 points guaranteed off this ecologist. And yeah, we're just going to try and maximise off that. At the same time, we're going to try and pick up some extra seeds. We've got this house sparrow to bear in mind. This is definitely a position where I think if I had a starling instead of that, or a collared dove, those are more flexible on the food. So that can be a really good way of discarding extra nectar even, because that does count towards your nectar total in that habitat. But we take what we get. House sparrow, it still works. And as I say, with the raven for the end game power, we should have enough food there as well to be doing some extra caches and working with that. So we've got this grey-lag goose. We are going to play it. Definitely an unusual play, but as I say here, it's helps for the behaviourist, so 3 extra points there. Helps the ecologist, 2 extra points there. Spending that 3 nectar definitely helps us out in that wetland. So yeah, you get 5 points if you win the nectar race there, as opposed to 2 for losing it. So potentially even bigger point swing there with something like this grey-lag goose. So definitely happy with that. And black swan as well. You get eggs on each of your birds with a wingspan over 100 centimeters at the end of the game. Grey-lag goose is another one that is a large bird in that sense. So yeah, even more eggs coming through. Another thing I'm just going to have to pay attention to, maybe make sure I've actually got the space to be benefiting from those extra eggs. And yeah, coming here, last turn now, just trying to calculate, just trying to work out. I think here, as I say, if I had the puffin, it'd be a no-brainer. Little penguin is still a good play though. And as I say, with the end of round goal as well in mind, it's definitely going to help out there. And it is a nice big point bird indeed. So, good looking board. I definitely thought this could have gone better, but it was still a pretty solid engine, I think. And we were able to get some really big point birds down, and we could absolutely destroy these end of round goals, which is huge. And what else is huge are these end game powers. So only 3 food, unfortunately, on the Raven. Maybe I could have been discarding some cards and getting a bit more food there. But we do get those eggs through the Black Swan as well. Very, very nice. Then, yeah, here we come into the nectar scoring. And as with the end of round goals, it is going to be a clean sweep here. So 22 points from the end of rounds, 15 from the nectar. Those are huge numbers. And here we go into the final scores. We'll see how huge of a number this is going to be. So, we did get quite a lot of big point birds down late on, 55. Only the 2 bonus cards, but 17 from those 2. Very, very nice indeed. And then, as I say, clean sweep on the end of rounds, super strong. We didn't have loads of eggs, but we did have enough just through the pink powers and, of course, the help from my opponent. Lots of caches, and we know lots of tucks as well. The robin, the snow bunting, and the hawk. 30 tucks in total. And then those 15 nectar points at the end. It is a huge score. 162. I got to say, this kind of caught me out by surprise because, like I said, I think this is a pretty good forest engine. I think this did showcase the strength of the Willy Wagtail. which is definitely what I wanted to be doing, of course, with the Robin helping as well. But yeah, it's just all in the bonus cards, winning the end of rounds. And I think winning those nectar races, that is definitely a strength of the Forest engine to consider. So yeah, definitely happy with the final product here. As I say, could have been better. There are some other good birds, which I will touch on a little bit in the outro here, that could have gone very, very nicely in this Forest engine. You see, we did actually end up with the wood duck. I thought I'd just keep hold of that, just to show, you know, we don't need to play it. We've got this woolly wagtail now, and we can still, yeah, build a nice Forest engine and score a lot of points. So before we go here, I just wanted to touch upon some of the other stars of the Forest engine that didn't quite show up in this game. So the first one I think that really needs to be talked about is this Galar. So can go in the forest, of course, can go in the grasses as well. But yeah, that brown power, you choose another player, they reset the bird feeder, gain a seed if there is one, and you get 2 tucked cards. I can't think of many birds in this game that are guaranteed 2-point activation every single time. So this is just an absolute stud. Get that down in your forest. Yeah, when you're running that engine, 2 points a turn, as well as, of course, any other brown powers you've got in there, as well as all that extra food that you're gaining through your Forest engine. This is just so, so strong. And yeah, I think this has got to be an instant keep in pretty much any starting hand or starting tray situation. Another bird I want to talk about here is this red-winged parrot. So this is another interesting bird. Can, of course, again, go in a number of different habitats. But I think it is best here in the forest. So 3 different food costs, easy to get down at the start. And then that brown power, you're giving nectar to other players. But if you do, you get to either lay eggs or gain extra food. So anytime you're gaining eggs in the forest, super, super strong, super powerful. Of course, this engine I ran here in this video didn't have any natural egg generation itself. I was relying on other players. But this just helps you out a little bit more with that extra egg generation. And then, of course, if you're full of eggs or if you want a bit more food, you can choose to gain extra food from the bird feeder if you have something like a starling or a collared dove, or of course the house sparrow I had in this game here. This can be an absolute lifesaver, and yeah, you're still getting points through that extra food, which is very, very nice. The next bird I really like for my forest engines is one that I don't see a lot of people talk about. It is the grey shrike thrush. So yeah, this is a very interesting predator power. It might look off-putting if you've had any experience with dice rolling hunting powers from the base game or European expansion, but this one, trust me, is very, very different. So here you're resetting the bird feeder and gaining all rodents that you re-roll, and then you can choose to cache as many of those on the shrike thrush as you like. So yeah, I think if you're running a point scoring forest engine, you're of course going to be caching those. I've had multiple games where this is, you know, re-rolled 2 or even 3 rodents on multiple occasions. So this can be a very huge point scorer. I love to see this bird early on. Very easy to get down. Very easy to get some additional points through that caching power. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on there for me. Next bird up here is a yellow power. So of course we had a couple come up in this game that we did play here today. The best of those being the Australian raven. I would say that is kind of the cream of the crop here in terms of yellow powers when you're running a forest engine. But we do also have here the crested pigeon. So this one, very straightforward. At game end, you get to cache up to 8 seeds from your supply on this bird. So if you're running a very food heavy forest, you know, if you're gaining a lot of food either yourself or through co-op powers, this is a great way of turning that into extra points. So yeah, obviously not quite as good as the raven in the sense that you need the seeds. You can't use any food you want. However, you can go up to 8, whereas the raven is limited at 5. So yeah, if you can max this out, you're getting a whole lot of points at the end of the game. And as I say, this could be a great way of turning some of those extra food into points at the end of the game. And last, but by no means least, the next bird that I want to take a look at here is this peaceful dove. So I'm quite an unassuming power. I think this might slip under the radar for some people. And where it's only 3 points, doesn't look like a huge kind of bird that you'd look to go for, but really, really good power in the forest. Again, as with the parrot, anytime you're gaining eggs in the forest, that is a very strong action. And this one, you can discard any number of seeds and lay an egg on the dove for each seed you discard. It's got 4 egg spaces, which is really, really nice. And yeah, I think just with the extra food generation in Oceania expansion right off the bat with the additional food that you get just after one bird being played. Maybe a little bit of co-op as well if you're getting some seeds from other players. You could easily turn those into eggs here. So yeah, this as a first forest bird I think is really, really strong. It can really help kickstart your forest engine, get yourself some eggs, and get some additional birds down pretty early on. So there we go. That was a look at the forest engine here in Wingspan's Oceania expansion. Hopefully you found this useful. And yeah, hopefully you can take some things away from this video so you know in your next game when you see some of these birds come up, especially, as I say, the Willy Wagtail and the Galar. Those are going to be two definitely that should be on your radar. You can know that you can build a pretty strong forest engine and score a lot of points like here. Now, as I said at the start, this is going to be a series of videos. We're going to take a look at all different kinds of engines in Wingspan Oceania expansion. So if you want to see more of this, please do subscribe. Please do stick around, keep your eyes peeled for those future parts, and I will see you in one of those very, very soon.